I am Vinnie Tolerant, and folks, your good intentions have been stolen, but don't worry. I'm here to help you get them back. You may be soft and succulent when we start this process, but hang in there. Before long, you will be lean and mean. That's a money back guarantee. And when you think about it, you didn't pay anything for this podcast. So the hell with you. Folks, he's been on the show before several times. She has never been on the show, but I'm excited to have her on. I can't, folks, you got to go watch the video of this because I can't figure out how he got her. That's just, it's got to be some kind of Stockholm syndrome, I'm pretty sure. I'm talking about Dr. Tro Kalayjian and his beautiful wife, Rosette. How are you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Oh, man, we're so happy to be, I'm happy to be here. I'm a little bit worried, to put you and my wife on the same Zoom here, but, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, now we have each other's email address. We can start one of those
geez, I'm screwed. This is over.
I can't compete with his life. Come on, let's be real.
I had to tear down the what picture was up in her locker. I had to tear that down. It couldn't happen. Couldn't happen.
You do one stupid photo in your life, and then it ends up everywhere for the rest of your life. It's.
I got plenty of photos. Don't worry. 350 pounds and my kids on my stomach. I got plenty of them.
Yeah, it's so Tro. One of the funniest things that happens is people will say to me on a daily basis, "Hey, man, love your podcast. Never miss a show. Have you ever heard of this guy, Dr. Tro Kalayjian?" And I'll say, "Yeah, he's on my show all the time. I've done his show." What are you talking about? It's like, "Oh, I must have missed that one." All three of them? You missed all three? Tro Kalayjian appeared, maybe four. Guy's been on the show a lot. Come on. But, that's the way it is. We have to keep doing each other's shows because this is the only way we can build this whole thing up. People, it just comes and goes. Am I making any kind of sense here?
Oh, 100%. How many, you're like thousands of episodes in, right? What are we, 2000? Are we 2000?
We're coming up on 2000, probably before the end of the year. I don't even know. I just put my head down and eat the bowl of food in front of me. I don't look and, we went right past 1,000. Everyone's like, you guys should have a big celebration. I'm like, for what? For wasting thousands of hours on the internet? Is that what I'm celebrating?
You know what, though? Okay, can I just toot your horn a little bit? First of all, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said that you've changed your life. I have patients in my practice right now who I know you affect on a daily basis. Your PDF,
I was just gonna say that.
I can't tell you how many people have read that PDF and said, that's what got me started. NSNG is what got me started. Mm-hmm. NSNG, Vinnie, I watched Fat. I read Fitness Confidential. This is it. I'm telling you, let's say I have 1,000 people in my practice. I want to say 50 of them have probably named you specifically. Changing their life.
You've become, now let me kiss your butt for a bit. You've become my number one go-to guy because you're registered in more states than anyone else. I used to say, well, look, you're in California, you got Brett Shear, or Brian Linsky, or, but now when I'm on the phone calls and people go, look, I need a doctor to read this or that or the other thing, I just go, there's a good chance Tro Kalayjian has a license in your state. How many states are you licensed in now?
Everywhere. We officially have a license in 42 states, and it will be 50 states by the end of next year. So wow. We are on track to be. And the reason why is simple. We had people flying to come here. There's just no reason. There's just no, we're in New York. There's just no reason. There's really no reason. And good thing I have a good legal counsel. She's been, she's been the one telling me to do this right, do this right, to do the practice right. And she's, not a lot of people know this. She's the one who got me started. It wasn't anybody in medicine, wasn't anybody in the space. She came to me and she said, when she was pregnant with our third son, Rafi, she's like, are you going to live?
Wow.
You're going to be alive. In a loving way, not judgment. She wasn't like,
this one time.
You big mess, you're wearing size 54 pants. It wasn't that. And anyway, but we've done things proper in the clinic the whole time, because she's an attorney by trade. So she's guided me into do things absolutely right. There's a lot of people who, blur the lines, but we've gone by the book for every single thing. And yeah, we have licenses in 42 states and counting. We just got Virginia, which is, I believe, you're in Virginia?
I'm in Virginia, yeah.
So I can be your doctor. Do you need?
Hey, Doc, I got this thing right on my left. Never mind. So Rosette, Rosette, let's talk about you a little bit, because you're often mentioned but never seen. This is the first time we've actually ever met. We're meeting on a podcast. So attorney, I didn't know that about you. How did you guys meet as a couple? Like, were you guys in college, or how does this work?
Oh, actually, we were in college.
We were in college. We saw each other, or I saw him at a party that was going on in at an Armenian party. And then back then, MySpace and the online social scene was big. So we had mutual friends. And I asked about him, and I inquired, who's that bald guy? He was handsome, he was cute. And they put me in touch with him, and we first connected online. And our community is a small community. Our families ended up knowing each other anyway, so it wasn't too weird, but we met online.
You know what? Actually, that's true. We did meet online, but we knew each other before.
I don't remember.
Way before, like we had just had crossed paths, but we didn't really know each other.
Yeah, because the Armos are like, you guys are really, you stick together, right? Because I'm good friends with Mark Garagos and all these people over on the West Coast, and all the Armos know each other. Like, you can mention, like, they could be all the way out in Glendale, and you can know some Armos over in Hidden Hills. That, as the crow flies, that's about 40 miles. They know each other. And I'm like, how do you guys, is there a big Armo party once a year? Do you guys hand out cards? What goes on?
There are
yeah.
yearly parties, but
it's just tight-knit community. It's it's like the best thing I could say. It's kind of like, we see it there's a lot of diaspora communities. I relate a lot to the Jewish people. They have a tight-knit community. There's like Ukrainian communities that have a similar type thing. It's
trying to create what we lost.
Yeah. I mean, you know about the genocide. You know about kind of our parents.
It's crazy. Yeah. The Armos. We always hear about the Jews, and I've always said this jokingly, but not so much jokingly. We hear more about what happened with the Jews because, well, they run the media. They they make the movies, right? So you're going to see a lot of Holocaust stuff.
Yes.
The Armos don't. So, it almost gets, just pushed aside, and it's not like it's over with Armos, right?
No, there's a huge political lobby also in the United States, which prohibits us from, I guess, getting recognition and getting aid and getting the attention that the country needs.
Actually, I mean, believe it or not, I was surprised Biden came out and actually said, actually was the first president to acknowledge the Armenian genocide. The Armenian genocide, just if your listeners don't know, back in 1915, World War I, the Ottoman Turks basically said, you know what, we're tired of you guys. You're too successful. You're a nuisance. You're going to cause our country to, splinter apart. We're just gonna relocate you all. So they created this official program to push all the Armenians out. And it was a disaster. It was they killed 1.5 Armenians. My grandfather, 1.5 million Armenians. My great grandfather literally was 5 years old. He had to pretend to be dead under his family, who was all shot, so that he can escape. And he basically miraculously made it to Syria, marched through the desert, finally reconnected with family, and somehow was able to escape.
Unbelievable.
And these are the stories we grew up with. So when you say tight-knit community, very much a tight-knit community. A lot of people go to church. We support each other. We try to, even like, we try to even teach the language to our kids, kind of preserve some of these cultural elements. but still embrace being like loving Americans, patriotic Americans.
Yeah.
You know, that's, I mean, basically the American, you know, the American story, you know.
Look, the way I met Serena was through a mutual Armenian. Well, funny enough, one was Persian Jew, my best friend Mehran, and another woman I knew, Lisa Bagamian. I met Serena with her twice. It didn't take the first time. I was taking a bike ride with a client, and we ran into Lisa. I remember when Lisa's twins, you know, she used to have the double stroller from years earlier, pushing them up this hill every day. They lived in this great community, and we were taking off on a bike ride and said, "Hey, Vinnie, oh yeah, Lisa, oh how are the twins? Oh, they're 10 now, you know." And the whole, I was like, "Oh wow," you know, that kind of deal, right? And it was like this out of place thing. And I ended up asking about Serena, and they said, "Oh, she's got a boyfriend or something." And then I went off and had cancer. And then my buddy Mehran and I were walking out of a breakfast place one morning, and Lisa was sitting with the same woman. By the way, I didn't recognize Serena the second time from the first time, because when you go off and have cancer for almost a year and you just had a chance meeting, and the first time I met her, Serena was going for a run. She had a visor in her face and she had Oakley glasses on and all that kind of stuff. So I just noticed that here's another hot chick, right? She was just hot chick to me at that point, not someone I was in love with. How can you be in love with someone you meet over coffee? But Lisa Bagamian was, Armenian chick, was there twice. And I went, "Oh, you're the same. Oh, wait a minute." And there it was.
Great.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, we've known each other, what, 20 years? Has it been 20? Almost 20.
2004.
Yeah, it's gonna come on like 17 years or 18
Something
years.
like that.
I told her within like a month of meeting her that I was like, "We're gonna get married." She's like, "You want to be a lawyer? I'm gonna be a doctor."
It's like
We were
that,
like
you know, the
punks in college, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
we're getting married, we're having kids.
No, it's like the
you know?
immigrant parents' dream.
You know?
Yeah, pretty much. Right.
Yeah.
So, when you guys met, because you were pretty heavy at some point,
Yeah.
like really heavy.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of you. Scary. What, Rosette, was he overweight when you guys met, or what was his
No,
deal?
he was not overweight when we met.
Well, a little chunky, you know.
I mean,
that trip in Armenia, I was like, let's say this, I
was like
was
210,
220, 220
It was
pounds,
nothing.
5'10", you know.
nothing compared to what residency
Yeah.
and med school did.
Med school crushed me. Residency crushed me. You know, those crushed me.
Yeah.
And then, that was
Because
like
you're
10
studying
years.
all day. What are you going to eat? You're going to grab the quickest food. You're going to, just.
Yeah, and you're sleep deprived and everything else, right? And that doesn't help. What was your highest weight, Tro?
350 pounds. 350 pounds. And actually, if you track mine and her weight, we tracked it. She actually gained with me. I mean,
I did.
So my peak was actually her peak. So
Really?
Yeah, she's actually, but she's tiny,
No,
you know.
Wait, she had
She was-
3 kids. She had, there's not an excuse, but
No, but even after the kids, like when we look back at our pictures, like we were looking at pictures of us losing weight. She lost 25% of her body, as I lost, whatever, like about 1/3 of my body.
So this is amazing. Do you mind mentioning, how tall are you, Rosette?
I'm 4'10".
So you're not even 5 feet tall.
No, I'm not. We're a foot apart.
Okay. So
Yeah.
4'10", and what was your top weight, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
mean, it was during pregnancy. I was like
No, after.
No, after that.
129, I think I got stuck at.
Okay, so at 4'11", I have a friend, a little Italian firecracker who's from Jersey, who rides, she does triathlons, and she's, Caroline, I want to say is 62 or 6. She's a year or two older than me. I'm 59. So she's 4'11", and she's a triathlete, and if she weighs anywhere around 105, she starts looking chunky.
That's what I tell him all the time. I'm like, I need to start intermittent fasting longer. He goes, why? I'm like, I got to 106, and I'm like, That's
Yeah,
where,
when you're that
yeah.
height, I mean, that's a lot of weight. So, I mean, 129, that's morbid obesity in your world.
Yes, it wasn't comfortable at all.
But you know what? She never showed like I did. I don't know. You still looked good back then, you know? I mean,
Blame the pregnancy weight. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, like.
but so it's interesting because so she triggered me to lose weight. I go down the rabbit hole, and then I'm like, wait a second. Like I didn't even put two and two together that she lost weight. And then we're looking at the pictures. I'm like, you're like a different person. You know, it like kind of hit me that she went through her own. I dragged her down with us, you know. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Weight down.
Well, it
whatever.
helps when you're changing the diet in the home, you're eating the same thing, you're gonna have the same effects. Cut the
Right.
crap out, you know, take out the breads, take out the sugars, take out the cookies.
So, Tro, the first time I had you on the show, this was back when I was still in LA. You came on early on, and you said something that I thought was pretty revealing. And you said, you know, here you were 330 pounds, 5'10". You're wider than you are tall. And you're telling people they need to lose weight in your in your residence, like in your clinic, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And you just felt like a schmuck at some point. Tell that story, because that always resonates with me, and I'm sure it resonates with the audience.
Yeah. I mean, look, the bottom line is I recognized it was a problem, right? And I knew it was damn hard, right? And so I would just try to relate to people. I would just try to relate to them, you know, and say like, look, I'm suffering. This is hard. We all have to do this. You know, we got to lose weight. That was it. I was trying to reach people, but I had zero clue how to actually reach them. Zero.
What happened? What was the big change for you? When did you start looking at carbohydrates and really? So it was all Rosette.
I mean, she basically was like, I mean, she triggered me and she played me because she knows, I mean, she's an attorney. She knows how to like, you know, manipulate me.
That's such a.
Right. And basically,
Right.
you know, and she did it with good intentions. She's like, yeah, like you're a smart guy. You know, you're board certified, you scored on the 90th percentile. Like, why can't you figure this out? You know, you figured out my dad, you figured out, you know, X, Y, and Z, go figure this out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the setup I needed. You know, she's like, yeah, you're right. I'm freaking smart. I can figure this out. Then you go to the literature and you know this.
Yeah.
And it's like everything they told us is bullshit. Excuse me. You know, I mean, it's straight bullshit. You know, like the eat 6 small meals, 7 small meals, whole grains, eat more grains, don't eat fat, cut your calories, straight up nonsense.
Yeah.
Right? And once you go enough into the literature, you understand the bias in nutrition, right? And that's, I think, my conspiratorial nature. That's my eagerness to go to the primary source, my willingness to go above and beyond to learn on a topic. And once you do that, you can't, like, it's undeniable. Low carb is consistently better. No need to fear fat, no need to fear cholesterol. It's more satiating, more satiety hormones. I mean, it's like once you peel back and each layer, you understand the nonsense, the crap, the dogma. I mean, and it's funny because she's, you know, your book was instrumental and inspiring. Nina Teicholz's book. These are the early books I you know, got your audio book. I read Nina Teicholz's book, Jason Fung's book, right? Gary Taub's. When your eyes start to get opened, right?
There's no going back.
You can't, yeah, there's no going back.
Yeah. Back in the late 90s, a couple of my clients, you know, when you live in Hollywood, all your Jewish and Armenian clients want you to make money too, because if you make money, they can make money with you, right? These people are very smart. They go, wait, you're talented and let's do something together. And some of those clients, you know, that movie studio heads and that kind of thing, they would say to me, listen, I don't know how you do it, but you got the weight off of my wife after the pregnancy. I don't know how you do it, but you got the weight off of this actor or actress, and we got them on a red carpet. But, you know, we would be more than happy to give you our private money. This is not studio money, our private money. And you could go write a book and do a program and do all this stuff. And I used to say to them, I can't really do that. And they would say, well, why? And it's like, well, number one, I would be giving away trade secrets. And they would go, dude, you won't need trade secrets anymore. You would be the dude. You know, there'll be this is before the internet. There'll be infomercials and you'll be everywhere and we'll get you out there. And I know the guy who did the smart mop and you'll be the next smart mop guy with your diet. And I went, yeah, you don't understand. And they're going to say I'm an Atkins wannabe. And, look, I've been reading Steve Finney for years, and I used to find this stuff on microfiche and everywhere else because there was no computer or anything. And it's like, yeah, they're going to think I'm just, he's just regurgitating this and that and the whole thing. And there's all this stigma behind fat and animal fat. And I don't know. I don't know if I need that fight. I wasn't that guy. I'm happy just making the studio money. You guys pay me well. And I can just get in my truck on the weekends and drive up to Mammoth and ski into my heart content. And I'll just do that for the rest of my life. And it was literally, I started thinking more about it. I started seeing when the internet kind of became a thing, and it wasn't really a thing yet, but you can Google things. And I noticed, Steve Finney is putting some articles out there now. Look at that. But before that, it was like Good Calories, Bad Calories came out. And I remember being happy and upset at the same time because it was a very technical book. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it was Gary Taubes' book on the subject.
Yeah.
And I went, thank God this is technical because most people won't read it. Because he's giving away my trade secrets, right? He's telling everyone that what I've been doing all these years is the right thing to do. I better get on the ball here and start writing. And, Dean Laurie was on me, another producer, screenwriter was on me. Let's do this together. I can help you with this. And I was finally kind of ready. A bunch of things happened and I was like, okay, I'll sit down and write it. I didn't want to write the book. He just kept on me and kept on me. He said, you don't know this, Tro and Rosette, obviously, you don't know this, but Hollywood, I wrote a piece one time. I didn't realize that I could write, but I wrote this 11-page typed out, single-spaced story that went around Hollywood. And basically, I told the story of 1 hour in my life in Beverly Hills, not just in Beverly Hills, in the richest, biggest mansions. As a matter of fact, the house I was talking about that I was in was the one right next to the Playboy Mansion in Holmby Hills. And I talked about the client. I never put the name. I never said exactly which street I was on in Holmby Hills or anything else. I just told this story of driving up and everything that happened from the time I showed up until the time I left. And the story, people were printing it out and handing it around Beverly Hills, all the studios, and they're like, we need to turn this in. Who wrote this? This guy, Vinnie. He's the trainer to the stars, and he wrote this thing. I got offered deals by Simon & Schuster, HarperCollins, all these different book companies, but they wanted me to do a tell-all, right? Because this was a tell-all story without a name. People figured out who it was because enough people knew this person. This person was famous enough, very famous, as a matter of fact.
You go find that article.
Say again?
We got to go find
that article.
It was never printed anywhere, but I can say, as a matter of fact, it was before the movie The Help came out. I titled it The Help.
Oh, wow.
It was called The Help before the movie The Help came out, long before that. And it was the late 90s. Everybody wanted me to write about all my clients. And they were offering me a shit ton of money. And I said, I can't do this. And they said, why? And I said, even though I don't like all of these people, I do like some of them. And the ones I like, I would have to talk about too. But even the ones I don't like, these people pay me a salary. I'm not going to be that schmuck that sells them out. I can't do it. I can't be that guy. So when Dean came to me and said, write the book, I kept saying, they won't take the book unless I name names. And he said, what if you don't name any names? What if you don't even really talk about it? You just just mingle the stories and just tell a couple of stories and then get right into the fitness aspect and the health. What if you did that? And I said, I don't know what that book looks like. And he says, it looks like Kitchen Confidential. So I went home and read Kitchen Confidential. And I went, oh, wait, I can do that. He didn't name any names, right? That's what we did. And that was the beginning of it. And if you would have told me that, I would have been at the beginning of this whole thing with a Gary Taubes and a Nina Teicholz. And, I was saying, you're crazy. I don't think Nina's book had even come out yet. She didn't come out for another year or two, but there we were, just all kind of out there getting slammed by one side. And then this other side was saying, hey, great guys, look at you guys. You're doing great, right? It was this weird time.
Now Costco's got keto ice cream.
Yeah. Boy, did we screw up. Yeah, Nina and I sit around, we'll get on the phone sometimes. And we actually sat over a drink one night and said, are we actually doing any good here? Like, is anything good coming out of any of this?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I just told you, at least, I want to say rough estimate, 50 people have named you. Yeah,
that's weird.
Right? Probably they tag you on social media, so you probably see them and responded to them. But
I mean, in the big scheme of things, look, I won't sell NSNG. I can make millions by selling those 4 letters. Mm-hmm. As my attorney, Rosette, you would tell me then, like, they're offering you $2.5 million. Sell NSNG. I have no control over it after I sell it. They can turn it into keto.
Yes.
No control. I've looked at the deals. They could take it once I sell it to them for any period of time. Yes. NSNG is theirs to use.
Yes.
Right? Yes. I can't do it. I just can't do it. I've left so much money on the table. It's ridiculous.
License it. Well, licensing deals.
She's a lawyer, man. She's got it worked out for you.
Yeah, but how do you control what they put in it? You can't.
Well, you know what I'll tell you one thing. What I found is the people starting off, it's a different place than you and me. Like, yes. When was the last time you had anything with crap ingredients? Anything?
Well, if I can skip over the half of, I ate a bite-sized piece of crap Snickers. It was like that. It was.
You're breaking my heart.
I know that one.
You're breaking my heart.
But you know what? I ate one. It was that big, and
before Halloween.
I couldn't tell you.
Basically, it doesn't happen, right?
It's zero. And as a matter of fact, I don't do that and go, oh my God, I'm guilty. I just say that. I ate that and went, man, it tastes like a chemical to me. It didn't even taste like. It was like people eat this shit all the time now, right?
Here's the thing. Same with me. I rarely would eat, like, let's say, I don't know, once in a blue moon, I'll pop a keto ice cream or something like that, right? Now, but the people starting, let me tell you, you're talking about people who eat Snickers all the time.
Right.
Right. These are the people coming in my office, 400 pounds, eating Snickers, eating fast food, basically every day, multiple times a day. There is no way I can help these people without bridging them. Zero way. So this keto crap that you see in Costco that you and I would never touch, a lot of them actually do better. Like, eventually everybody's, at some point that's going.
Right.
But it's kind of like the methadone.
So you like doing the methadone method of, just get them off of this, get them on that, and then worry about getting them off of that later.
Yeah, because, once their blood sugar is stable and they have ketones, getting them off of that is easy.
But have you seen some of this stuff? Like, they'll put keto on a loaf of bread now, and it's just a loaf of bread.
The wheat. The worst is the rice, wheat, protein, the tapioca. Wheat, isolate, blah, blah, blah.
There's even keto stuff with cane sugar in it.
Oh, they
It's-
put, like sugar is the second ingredient,
It's still
Yeah.
keto.
so that's the
but
problem is it's not standardized. The industry is
I don't know, Troy. I don't know, Troy. Sometimes they'll say certified keto.
Yeah.
organic keto.
Or
Organic. Don't you love that one as an attorney? Don't you love that? Certified keto. Who's
Certified
certifying those
keto.
guys?
or organic keto. I've seen it all. It's crazy. And you know what? Like I remember in the NSNG, the PDF that you have a section there also that you say, you know what? It's okay if you need the bridge, get the handful of nuts or grab the cheese. Like you're talking about practical real food, but that's not what most people are thinking when they're thinking, I need to make it to the next day instead of grabbing the, like the Oreos. They're looking for just something else sweet. So the nuts or the cheese, the practical advice you're giving is not something that's going to sustain them.
Yeah, some people, let me tell you, like she's got a sweet tooth. Do you want?
Oh, yeah.
Can I tell them about your?
Yeah, it's fine.
So she's got terrible migraines.
Yes.
Terrible migraines.
It's stress induced and sugar induced.
Basically, if she has sugar, she has migraines.
Like that mini Snickers bar.
That
mini
little
Snickers.
bit. I mean, look, it wasn't like that long. They make them like in
I
a
know.
little perfect half-inch.
I know it.
And I
Right.
wanted to say, I said, I haven't had one in so many years. I need to see what it tastes like. And I was very
Terrible.
disappointed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it tastes terrible. They don't taste the same, but I do one and I'm done for the next 24 hours with a migraine. It's insane.
Really,
So-
just one little Tro, what is that?
Oh, it's in
Yeah.
literature. It's there. They've known about this since Atkins. So back in the day, they knew just like a ketogenic diet can prevent seizures. You know what they use for migraines? Seizure medication. Right? So we know that cluster headaches, migraine headaches, they all improve with the ketogenic diet, and particularly lowering sugar and processed carbs. Right? So, and probably there's some inhibitory effect on the brain from ketones, like some stabilizing effect, right? That's how it works for seizures. It's how it works for appetite. It's how it works for migraines. And this has been known for at least 10 years. At least 10 years. This is all the bullshit, right? They don't teach in medical school. You can literally use a diet to prevent migraines. And the minute she has, but she's not like me and you. This lady's got a voracious appetite. So I'll tell you right now, so when I say voracious appetite, I can eat 3 pounds of meat.
Right.
She can eat about a half pound of meat.
Okay.
But she's got a sweet tooth like nothing I've ever seen.
So I cap my meal with something
Like
almond flour.
Still, you do that.
Oh, I still do it. I still do it.
Wow.
I have like a daily bite of something. With
See,
almond
I can't have a day like, when I had that one Snickers, there was no other Snickers around that little square because I can't do it. I admit I'm addicted to sugar. So that's why I never had it.
Oh no. So she puts like you're basically a sugar substitute in it.
Yeah.
She's just got an incredible sweet tooth, but I got to live with that. She freaking makes donuts, low carb donuts.
Oh, Jesus.
Almond flour, butter, and sweetener. That's basically it. And some dark chocolate. I mean, it's like, and I got to live with that, man. And I'm like a former obese guy.
And I'm trying to get it because for me, like I said, that little, the little Snickers bite, but for me, even with the low carb stuff, just one bite, that's all I need.
Bro, for me, it's
But
like,
then
I'll
it's
eat all
there,
12,
and
I don't care if it's
So
low
I'm trying to
carb
be
or-
more conscious of what I bake. And
I'll tell you, don't follow her Instagram. Okay.
I won't even go there because
Don't
Hey,
follow her
come
Instagram. Okay. Or don't follow her Twitter because it is legit crack. It is like crack.
So don't follow Rosette Mix on Instagram, folks. Do not go there. Whatever you do, we just drove everybody in the world to go check out where Rosette is.
No, I'm serious. Like,
But-
there's a running joke in my office because we have Amy. I guess Amy.
Oh yeah,
and
she's been on the show.
Wiley.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Wiley. So they're the health coaches, and
they test all my stuff.
like I can't eat her stuff. I'm like you. Once the sweet taste comes in, I'm done.
But you know what? Also,
I'll keep eating.
it's helpful because we have 3 little kids too, and so we started the low carb lifestyle in our home about 6-7 years ago, and our oldest is 9.5 now. So he
Okay.
grew up in that, dino nuggets and French fries world. And so
Like
it took
before we
started. And so he was 4 when we started the low carb, and it's taken him a long time, and it's a little difficult for him to transition completely the
Right.
lack of the pastas and the breads or whatever. So at least with the low carb cookies or the almond flour cookies or the cupcakes, it kind of like makes them feel like they're getting a little treat also. So not that they need it, but it's, they're not like, why is my friend eating cupcakes at snack time and I can't have it?
Like, first of all, they don't let us bring nuts into school because there's allergies.
No.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So there's no nuts because there's allergies.
It's old school.
Right? Whatever. But it's still,
Yeah.
and then the school lunch is freaking miserable.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's miserable, right? I mean, literally, I kid you not, on the menu for Meatless Mondays, which is a crime in my opinion.
oh, that's right. You're in New York. Yeah, you got de Blasio.
So Meatless Mondays is a crime against minorities. I'll tell you why. Because meat, right? If you supplement a child's diet with meat, their IQ goes up. They're stunting. They don't stunt. They grow properly.
Right.
It's good for their brain health, less depression. I mean, withholding meat from a child, particularly a child like a minority who relies on school lunch, to give them Meatless Mondays is a crime, in my opinion. Crime. Full stop. So I kid you not, our kids have like on the menu, it's freaking baked potato and cheese. Like, whatever cheese, whatever, like,
or cheesy breadsticks was today's.
Cheesy sticks.
And then Pop-Tarts for breakfast.
That's what they're feeding them. So
Pop-Tarts at school?
For breakfast.
Oh, for breakfast.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? I've never eaten a Pop-Tart in my life.
My son had one for the first time last week. He's like, Dad, what the fuck is this shit? I swear to God. He's like, Dad, it was like, it's not food. He's like, it's not food. But the problem is like they see their friends having stuff and, it's like you go to birthday parties and, part of me says, what's worse? Something with almond flour and substitute or the real deal sugar? The real deal sugar. I don't really know. I'm still verdicts out. Me personally, I pick the artificial stuff, but I don't really know.
Yeah, it's all bad. Tro, do you know the name of? I'm doing a third documentary, right?
Yeah, I did not know that. I knew, for the loved 1 and 2.
Okay. All right. 2, as you know, is a continuation of 1. And shockingly, it did well because we didn't promote it. We didn't do a whole lot.
We screened 1, right? Did you know?
Yeah.
Exactly. Not a full screening, but we.
Yeah, no, I know you did. But you're going to want to screen.
Yeah, we were promoting it. Yep.
You're going to want to screen 3 because I've gone away from the fat theme. This isn't Fat 3. I'm going to give you the title of the documentary. And we may be changing what's written under the title, but we're not sure yet. I'll tell you what's written under it right now. But the third documentary is coming out. It's been bought by Gravitas, same people that put out 1 and 2. I think that Brendan Gallagher over at Gravitas maybe came a little bit when I sent him this movie. Maybe. I'm pretty sure he at least had a raging erection because he said, I don't care what deal we have to make to get this movie. We will make that deal. This is them showing their cards up front, right? Mm-hmm. Once he saw the movie, it's like, I know you have to go talk to everyone else. I did your first 2 movies. Everyone I have wants this movie. The title is Beyond Impossible. It's got a picture of the Impossible Burger. And underneath what it may say, but I'm still going through this with the attorneys, how the fake meat industry is killing you.
Can I just tell you something about this?
Go on.
I want to tell you something about the BS in nutrition. And in fact, I said this off air, but you're reading Big Fat Surprise. And I'm going to tie this in for a second. What do you think about when you're reading it,
The parallels to what's going on now with the whole COVID pandemic.
The central policy, right? If you look at central policy, right? One of those, these fake meat burgers, right? They have an ingredient in it called lenticule.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They literally made a chemical, right? Synthetic, first time, never
Yeah.
seen before. And they put out the product,
Mhm.
right? And FDA regulations say you cannot put out a product with something that's not generally regarded as safe in your food. It has to
Right.
be GRAS, and that's even a stretch because they put all sorts of polymers and stuff in there, red dye, 4D, whatever, all sorts of cancer-causing
That's
crap.
correct. You are correct.
Okay, and it's considered generally regarded as safe.
Mhm.
Lentiglobin is a new molecule, and they use it in the fake meat, right?
Right.
And they put out the fake meat for several months without even FDA approval. The FDA scrambled and just approved it.
Yeah.
No testing, no nothing, just approved it.
You know, the thing that's been getting me lately is I've been watching this show about the Sackler family, Purdue Pharma, called Dope Sick. And it's an accurate depiction of the whole oxycodone problem that came around in the late 1990s and became the beginning of the opioid epidemic, right? And they were lying to people. The FDA allowed them to use a study that was not a study. It was one doctor it was like 5 sentences in, it was never a study. A doctor had written 5 sentences that was in one of the journals. I can't remember which, might have been BMJ. I don't know which one it was, but it was just 5 sentences where he observed that under hospital conditions, in a hospital where you're watching people and you're giving them Oxycontin, they won't get addicted. And by the way, he was giving them 5 milligrams. And at the end, I think Sacklers were making 160 milligram tablets because people were getting breakthrough pain. And by the way, they weren't giving this to people dying of cancer and a lot of pain. They were going, hey, you got a little headache, you got a little backache, you got something. Why should you suffer? You won't get addicted to this drug, take it. And that was a problem. Troy, you look like you got something on your mind.
No, I mean, like if you understand the whole story, it's like a bunch of things coming together. You know, they were getting doctors to respect patients, treat patients, listen to patients, treat their pain. They're literally being assessed on their pain scores.
Right.
Patients are now, they're literally being assessed on patient satisfaction. So if somebody's in pain and you leave them in pain, so now the doctor's incentivized to give pain drugs.
Right.
Patients incentivized to get pain drugs. Pharmaceutical companies incentivized to, make more drugs, right? So the whole system was set up for people to fail.
Right.
Like that's it. And people don't get it. It was like literally everybody made money. The doctors made money. The patients were happy. The pharmaceuticals made money. They promoted a bunch of nonsense. People made billions. And it was all off of future suffering. I mean, look at the food industry. It's like an exact same model.
Right.
Right. It's basically a system for future suffering. A system that's profiting off of future suffering.
But how does it end? Because it's going to end where we're breaking now under the healthcare system can't keep up. I mean, when I was a kid, there was like one fat guy in the class and he only weighed about 30, 40 pounds more than everyone else. Now there are morbid obese adolescents, kids younger than adolescents. We're breaking under the weight. These kids won't change. They won't lose weight. Someone sent me a picture and it was supposed to be funny, but they showed all of the girls out of Hooters in their uniform standing outside of Hooters, and they were all morbidly obese. I don't know where they found this Hooters or what it was or the whole thing. Hooters used to be where you had to be able to fit basically in a bikini to serve food, I'm guessing. But they're all in their Hooters uniform and they're all morbidly obese. That's where we are now, right? This is not healthy.
Can I tell you, this is what we're up against. And I've struggled to figure out how zealous I want to be with kind of the real food paradigm but here, let me tell you, there's some bright light.
Okay.
We have at least 10 to 20 kids under the age of 21 who've lost more than 100 pounds.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
I mean, and I'll tell you the common features of all of them. One, common feature, family involvement. 2, a good understanding of diet, nutrition, appetite, how to address their appetite. 3, exercise. 4, stepping them off of the modern crap, stepping them down off. You cannot go to a 16-year-old and tell them you're not going to eat chips.
Right.
You know I got no stock in Quest chips, but I can't tell you how many times I've recommended Quest chips to someone like that. I'm never going to get them to quit Doritos if I don't get something a step better, right? Something a little bit better. You know, we get them on Mark Sisson's Primal Kitchen condiments instead of using the crap that they're using. We get them using nut pots, nut butter, right?
Yeah.
You know, I know somebody who makes some of those.
I know a guy who makes nut butters.
Yeah, yeah. You know, we get them using things like we get them down off of it. We let them experience ketosis. We give them a stable sugar, right? Because when their sugar is going up and down, they're hungry. They are just starving. Their brain is hungry. So you can't take these kids who've been brainwashed by McDonald's and Snickers and tell them this is going to work for you. Just eat a bunch of meat. Now, some of them are so sick they will do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So some of them were highly motivated by illness. They can change. Right. You don't need to do the crap. They'll just eat good and they'll feel great and they'll never give up. But a lot of these people who are like, they know they got it, like they just need a way out. You know, they need a way out.
Yeah, look, we're going through that same thing. You know, when we started making ultra fat, the idea was we were making it for athletes, people like myself, you know, ultra athletes like my wife who runs these ultra marathons, and we sponsor Badwater and all these big races. We're now sponsoring this kid who is winning everything. He's a low carb athlete, Mike McKnight. And, you know, we thought that was going to be the big, we can't keep the stuff in stock because of the people you're talking about, you know, just trying to bridge that gap. Here's something that is convenient, it's quick. I can, you know, it's got medium chain triglycerides in it. It tastes good, and boom, there it is. You know, we had no idea that would be a market for us until we actually just did it. You know, it became a market. So, I get that. I want to go back for just a second. Let me ask you on the air, because if I ask you this on the air, you can't tell me no. When I get closer to my movie, I'd like to come on and promote it on your show.
Oh, absolutely. I would have. That's not even a non-question.
I just wanted to make sure. You know, you heard it, right? You're my new attorney.
I think somebody had like 100 people in a New York City restaurant, you know, seeing, you know, a quarter of your show. I heard, you know.
Well, you're going to let.
You got 110 of my support, 110% of my support.
Let me tell you how crazy this movie is. I literally took the gloves off. You know, no one's safe. And whenever I did the first movie, whenever we had to have, you know, because you have to do all the timestamps of every little thing in the movie, and then you get on the phone with your attorney, this is the guy that's going to have to go and represent you if someone tries to sue you. Rosette, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
So this guy is acting like a jerk to you because he needs to act like a jerk because he's got to figure out what he's going to be up against. Mm-hmm. At 3 minutes and 52 seconds, there was a clip of, and it was 2 seconds long. Where did you get that? How did you get it? We had to do that through the whole movie, right? So you're on the phone for about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes. And the second movie, I used the same attorney, same group. And we were on the phone for about 45 minutes because the second movie we had already cleared a lot of this stuff from the first movie. It wasn't as much to clear. This movie, the first meeting was over 3 hours.
I believe it.
It was, okay, you have James Cameron saying this. You said this about James Cameron. You have Arnold Schwarzenegger saying that. You claim that the guy who's the strongest man in the world and he's vegan, you're saying that he's never won a competition. And I'm like going, Google it. Look, the guy's never won anything. They're saying he's the strongest man in the world and he's a vegan. That's a lie. That's just a bold-faced lie. You know, I'm a nerd. I know who goes to that competition every year. This guy's never even been invited to go wash jock straps in that competition. This guy's never been there. As a matter of fact, if you look at what he's lifting, there are high school seniors who are doing the same thing, trying to get a scholarship to go to college. This is not, so he's not, yeah, great. For a vegan, he's strong. We actually went and looked it up. He won strongest vegan in a vegan competition in a town somewhere in Texas with about 1,500 people in the town. He won, and they're calling him the strongest man in the world in the movie. In that movie, Game
but
Changer.
selling plant-based so they got a, pea protein. I don't know if you know anything about pea protein. Most pea proteins are literally contaminated by incredible amounts of heavy metals. Incredible amounts.
Oh yeah, we know that.
Lead, arsenic. I mean, it's just.
And we talked about how James Cameron had the stake in that company, drove the price up with the movie, and then sold out of the company. But we got it all in there. It's all in there. We talk about all of them. Walter Willett, you're going to love this, Tro.
I was surprised that Walter Willett just signed, I don't know if you saw that. He co-signed Ludwig's new carb insulin model paper. I was surprised. Yeah, I was really surprised. I was shocked.
Well, at some point, he's going to have to do something, because when this movie comes out, we asked, here's the thing I did. We wrote to all of these people. We show the letter I sent to every one of them. And then we show their rejection letters. We asked Walter Willett to be in the movie. He basically said, I'm busy that day. We didn't give him a day, but he was busy that day. Gregor, depending on how you want to say it, claimed that I wasn't big enough. Yet we asked him how big do you have to be? I've had 2 best-selling movies, and I have this and that and the whole thing. I met every one of his criteria, yet he came back and said, yeah, I'm busy writing my next book. We have all of this in writing, and I have Serena reading it on camera whenever it comes out. It's amazing what these people had. McDougal just started badgering my assistant, just badgering the woman, going, he's got that Nina Teicholz in his movies. He's crazy. She's, all of it is in the movie. It's all in there, every bit of it. You're not going to believe what's in this movie.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
And by the way, I literally show the animals in the grain that gets chewed up in the grain. I show the animals laying dead in all the grain. This is what you're getting, folks. This is in your grain, okay? I show the combines. I show the animals running through the field. I show night vision cameras where they have to go out and shoot animals at night. Cold blood. No one ever eats these animals. Hogs, deer, everything. They just go out under the cover of night and shoot thousands of pounds of animal every night. What are you going to knock on someone's door and go, hey, you want 1,000 pounds of pig tonight? Who's going to do that? They just kill them, pull them aside.
Break a couple omelets to make, you got to break a couple eggs to make an omelet.
Right. So any vegan who thinks, we're saving, I got Midlerner in the movie. Midlerner is explaining how CO2, the problem is not from cattle. And it's all in there. No one's ever done a movie like this. Beyond impossible. You're going to love this movie, Tro.
I already love it.
When is it coming out?
We wanted it to come out before the end of this year, but it's coming out in January. We're going to have it up for pre-sale in December at some point. But we had more attorney work to go through on this than any other movie we've ever done. Left, right, and center. As a matter of fact, the line underneath right now says how the fake meat industry is killing you. They're having a problem with the word killing. So I might have to change that. It's all these little things where you got to get protected and protected and protected to the point where I don't think I'm doing any more movies. I think I'm out of the movie business. I'm done. I'm just done. But yeah, that's what we go through.
That's fun, man. That sounds awesome. I can't wait. I really can't wait. This is a big deal for us. I mean, we live this with our kids. Like, what are our kids going to get? I don't know anymore. And with the food, I mean, the school lunches, it's just, how much have we talked about this?
A lot.
Now
our oldest is reading the ingredients on every box.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what it takes. That's Rosette. That's exactly what it takes. You know what else it takes is olive oil, folks. Cappelli olive oil, best olive oil on the planet, longest running sponsor on this show. I can't get enough of this stuff. Sometimes I get in my shower at night and I just drizzle it on my head. I don't know if you Armenians used to do it. My grandmother used to do that with olive oil. They put it in your hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
the ear.
Mix it in.
The ear. They put it in the ear for an ear infection, the eye for an eye infection.
No, not in the eye. The ear, the hair. Yeah.
It's like the Armenian Windex.
Yeah. Whenever I'm around people like Lisa Begamian and all, it's like you guys are Italians. It's no different. You guys are just basically Italians.
Pretty close, man.
It's all about the food. Yeah.
Same religion, same God, same everything. It's like no difference. Willett Cappelli, folks, you want to go check this out. Tro will tell you that olive oil is one of the healthiest things you can ever put in your body. And in his case, on his body, when his grandmother came over with the babushka and everything and just started rubbing it in. It didn't work for you, Tro. At any point, Willett Cappelli, folks, you want to save 10%, put in promo code Vinnie, VINNIE, and you'll get 10% off. If you want to get free shipping also, after your discount, if you're still over $100, you'll get free shipping. But put that promo code in, VINNIE, no wimpy Y, you'll get 10% off at Willett Cappelli. Before I let you guys go, Rosette, where can they find you? I know you're out there and you got baked goods. You got all kinds of stuff you're doing out there, right?
Yes, we do. We're trying to help people make it through this prep food industry. And you can find us at Rosette's Mix on social media.
ROSETTES Mix, MIX.
Yes.
In case you guys can't spell. Go check her out. Where? On Twitter or Instagram?
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're out there.
Wherever you go, folks, go check out Rosette. And by the way, she's kind of hot. You're going to check this out. I would say really hot, but her husband is right here, so I can't say really hot, but she.
This is hot. Like,
I can say that.
Miss Serena, but I'll take it.
So, folks, go check out everything they're doing. Tro Kalayjian, you can go get him, Dr. Tro. It's Dr. Tro. At Dr. Tro on Instagram.
I'm Dr. Tro. Yeah, Dr. Tro spelled out on everything.
And Tro is TRO. Don't get fancy with Tro. Just TRO.
I got to be honest with you. We're licensed everywhere. If you're looking for me for weight loss, I'm going to tell you now. There's like a 4-month wait. So I'm sorry, but just we'll get you in. We'll get you started with our health coaches. But I got 4 months. Like I'm getting, everybody's coming to me now, and I appreciate it. I mean, we like the business. My next thing is training somebody driven, smart, a doctor, a PA, a nurse practitioner, somebody like that to just do the work with our team, Amy Igus, work with Brian Wiley, our health coaches, who are just amazing people. Amy's lost 200 pounds, kept it off 5 years. Brian Wiley's kept off 100 pounds for 15 years.
Yeah.
6-7 years in, we're trying to make a real big difference. At the least, we're a binge eating hotline. That's what we are. The truth. Call us if you need help. Treat us like AAA. Call us, text us. But if you're looking to see me, it's just a bit of a wait.
Yeah, look, you can say supply chain. Whenever you're running late nowadays, just go supply chain. That's it. We're actually
supply chain. We know what we need. We need empathetic doctors who can relate to people who need to lose weight. That's what we need. That's what we're in the supply chain of. So if you know any of those, somebody who's looking to kind of, do a little something different and work with a team, that's us. So reach out to me. That's who I need. As much as, I'm happy to help people with patients, I'm looking for a doctor or a nurse or a nurse practitioner or a PA.
It's not easy. I know you're doing great work. Siwas down in Florida is doing well. Verta Health is out there, but all of you guys are super busy, and more power to you folks. Hopefully more doctors will, kind of pick up the mantle and do what you guys are doing. And look, thank you for doing what you're doing. And you give me a reason to, when people go, hey, well, who do I call? You call Tro. He's probably in your state. So keep, I want you to be on all 50 states, Tro. So keep it.
99. I'm in 99% of, it's just like I got like Oregon left and Alaska and Hawaii. That's like, a couple of these tiny little places, but we're working on them. We're working on it.
He will get it, folks. You know what to do. We all go to Amazon. Before you go to Amazon, go to VinnieTartaros.com. Click through the banner. It puts coal on the fire, gets my train down the track. Also, we have a super fan page at VinnieTartaros.com. I do not realize one dime of that money. It all goes right back into the podcast. It pays for everything around here. So I really appreciate when you guys do that. This is kind of like PBS. So think of us as PBS. On behalf of Rosette over at rosettesmix.com, I'm sorry, and Tro Kalayjian, my name is Vinnie Tartarich. Put life into living and do it with enthusiasm.